And welcome back to the MMA India Show, where we are doing the post-match analysis of UFC Denver, UFC Fight Night, and we're going to be talking about the three top fights. Before we go there, you are going to be seeing an interview with Chris Weidman very soon. Me and Akhilesh spoke to him. Very exciting for the Indian fans. The fact that, after Faber and Masvidal and Cyborg, we now have Chris Weidman, who's one of the biggest names in the UFC. So that's a really exciting interview to look forward to. And we're going to be putting it out very, very soon. So hang on and watch out for that interview. Now, coming to the three, should we say, top fights of UFC Denver. Francis Ngannou versus Andre Arlovski, the Pitbull. Now, of course, Dana White has spoken about Francis's story as well. He was homeless some years back, 3.5 years ago. He didn't even know what MMA is. And look at him. Now, Dana White is talking about him as being the future, a heavyweight belt holder, which, of course, it's very easy to say. I think Stipe Miocic might have something to say about that. But he's huge, he's fast, he's humble, he's got, a sound head on his shoulders. He doesn't seem like he gets overly excited. Even in this fight, it's not like he came out rushing or anything, or he thought, I'm going to pound the shit out of Andre Arlovski because I'm such a big guy and I'm going to power him out. He had a strategy in place. He was sussing out Andre. It's not like he went crazy. He was looking for the right time and he found it.
Yeah, so the one thing that I immediately realized watching the fight was Andre, he was being smart. And the other thing was Andre looked very nimble. He looked very good. Against someone like Josh Barnett, he had to rely heavily on his boxing. And the same thing happened with Ngannou. But during this fight, in the opening seconds, he was getting inside the range and getting out of the pockets after tagging Ngannou. So he looked very good. But just the fact that Ngannou is a powerhouse, he's a beast. I see only two people in the heavyweight division at the moment who I think are the future prospects. One is Derek Lewis and the other is Francis Ngannou. So,
and people are already talking about a Francis Ngannou-Derek Lewis fight as number one contender, even though he did call out Junior Dos Santos. And who else did he call out? One other name.
Alistair
Overeem, yeah. So he called out these two guys, but so it remains to be seen what's going to happen between Lewis and who is he fighting?
I think Lewis just fought. So
no, he's fighting Travis Brown.
Travis Brown next, right.
So let's see what happens between them first.
Yeah. So Ngannou has just the incredible power that he possesses is scary. The thing that Brian Stan, for example, took a picture before the fight where he compared his hand size with Ngannou's, and Ngannou's had encapsulated Brian Stan's, and Stan is not a small guy by any means. So just the power that Ngannou possesses, and he looked very, very good. As you said, he was very composed. He did not, overreach. He did not overcommit. He ensured that he was in boxing range with Andre Arlovski, while Andre Arlovski was trying to get inside the pockets and get out.
Yeah.
Ngannou didn't just tagged Andre, and just the first overhand left that caught Andre. He stumbled and Ngannou connected with another right, and that was just it.
And so that was the opportunity he was waiting for. He played the waiting game, and it worked.
Yeah, and the impressive thing is Ngannou knew that Andre heavily relies on his boxing, and he just wanted to counter. He just wanted to wait for his moment, and then he found an opening and he tagged Andre, and that was all she wrote. So it was a phenomenal performance. Ngannou, as people have said before and are saying now, is a future champion. And the exciting thing is, for years now, the heavyweight division was kind of stuck. It was either Cain Velasquez, it was the Fabricio Werdums, it's now Stipe Miocic, or it was Alice.
Even in even in Delhi, Akhilesh's internet gets stuck. Ah, he's back. Your internet got stuck for a little while. We thought the bad internet is following you from Hyderabad.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, so he seems like a Francis Stipe Miocic fight would be really exciting.
It would be exciting, but I don't think it would be the best matchup for someone like Stipe, who again, so the main thing that Ngannou has is his reach and the fact that he's a very very good technical boxer, a very good technical counter striker, which could easily lead to the downfall of someone like Stipe Miocic, who once again is a very crisp boxer, relies heavily on his boxing. So that might not be something that Dana White would look at immediately, but I definitely think the next fight for Ngannou would be a number one contenders fight. It might be against someone like Calistoverim or, as he called out, Junior Dos Santos, but the next fight has to be a number one contenders fight for him.
I agree, especially since Dana White is pushing him so much and has already called him a future champ.
Yeah, and his story is quite similar to someone like Cody Garbrandt, someone like Uriah Faber, those guys that came from literally nothing, built themselves up, and finally had a chance to go after the title. So it'll be an incredible story if it happens. But Ngannou, he defeated a former champion, Andrei Arlovski.
Yeah.
So the next has to be against the number one contender in a potential.
One story that everybody seems to be missing here is Andrei Arlovski.
Of the top.
Where does Andrei Arlovski go from here now?
I think we discussed this the last time. I think we discussed it even after his fight with Josh Barnett. Andres probably has one more fight left in him. I think
that just was has this fight. Last time we said he has one more fight left in him, and that was this fight.
Yeah, but we've seen what happened with Ngannou, right? So, but as I said, Andre looked phenomenal. He had very good movement. He did what he could not do against Josh Barnett in the opening seconds, which is being evasive. Yeah. And he was very good in getting inside the pockets, inside the boxing range, and then getting.
Basically, it's wrong to judge him right now, I guess, against a guy like Ngannou.
Maybe it's wrong, but again, look at the top 5, top 6 guys. Those are all killers. Yeah. So where does Andrei Arlovski go from here? Just just logically looking at things, I think he has one more fight left in him. But I think Arlovski's resurgence is no more.
Yeah, we don't see him coming back. Now coming to the next fight, the co-main event, which we were very excited about, of course, Jorge Masvidal versus Donald Cerrone. I personally did call all 3 top fights correctly. I don't know whether you, of course, now you can say anything, but it was all in your head. So since you didn't come out with it, but I do have to say I got all 3 fights right. And I do have to say Jorge Masvidal has been on our show. And anybody who has been on our show has won their fight.
So that bodes well for Chris Weidman now.
That bodes well for Chris Weidman now. But have you ever thought of that? That just struck me right now. I was thinking about all the people who have been on our show, from a Jorge Masvidal to a Kamaru Usman. Who else is there? Uriah Faber. Shevchenko was supposed to be on the show. She hasn't been yet, but hopefully she will still. But the karma, the vibe was out there that she was going to be on the show. So, and Colleen Schneider.
Schneider, yes.
Schneider as well. So anybody who has been on the show and has an upcoming fight has won their fight. So all of you fighters out there, if you want to win your fight, you know where to get the good karma and the good vibes from. The MMA India Show. Having said that, the fight, Jorge Masvidal and Donald Cerrone, Masvidal was so confident from the very beginning, even when he came on our show, before he beat Jake Ellenberger. He had already announced he's going to call out Donald Cerrone. And he was very confident of beating both, of course, Jake Ellenberger and Donald Cerrone. A lot of confidence in his game. And like Dana White recently said, that he always knew Jorge Masvidal had the potential, but he just wasn't pulling the trigger. And now, when he is pulling the trigger, you see he's amongst the best in the world at welterweight.
Right, and even going into the fight, stylistically, it was a bad matchup for Cowboy because anyone who's a very crisp technical boxer will pose a challenge, will pose a very, very legit threat for someone like Cerrone, who relies heavily on his kicks, leaves himself open, as we've seen in this fight, where he throws body kicks. But what Masvidal did perfectly was his counter striking. He
Yeah,
made sure that even so, what happens is when you throw a kick, it leaves you open for
open,
counters,
which he
and that is
was
what Masvidal exploited
exploited.
to
Yeah,
perfection. So, and the other thing is, even during the fight, Cerrone tried to go into the clinch and try to close the distance and work within the clinch, but Masvidal looked phenomenally when clinches.
yeah,
So, he said stylistically he would be better than Cerrone. He said, if he fought Cerrone, as you said, he came on the show before. He said, if I fight Cerrone, I'm pretty sure I'm going to beat him, and that's what he did. But the manner in which he did that was exceptional. He had very, very good hands, crisp boxing. He was able to, withstand Cerrone's devastating knees in the clinches, and he was able to get the upper hand in the clinches. So it was very technical. It was a very good fight. It was, as I previously said on Masvidal's part, he is probably one of the best boxers in the UFC at the moment. So he made
yeah,
complete use of that.
yeah. Now, of course, Donald Cerrone was on a 4-fight winning streak, which has been broken now. Jorge Masvidal, of course, has put himself into the top 5 contender. I think he's 1 fight away from fighting for the title. Now, the next fight, of course, a lot of people have put Nick Diaz's name in. Though personally, what I feel is he should be fighting Robbie Lawler, especially since he's not a part of ATT anymore. I know Masvidal himself doesn't seem too keen on it because Robbie and him were teammates, not too long ago, and they, used to help each other out, and nobody really looks forward to that. But he has said, "Listen, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it." Robbie Lawler needs a big fight. Jorge needs a big fight, and they are both now. This could be the number one contender fight that people need, especially since Robbie Lawler isn't with ATT anymore. But of course, like I just said, Jorge has spoken about being really close to Robbie still. So I think that will play a factor of whether he accepts it or not. Not that we're saying it's been offered to them. This is just our brains working overtime and our planning. But we do think, or at least I do think, that would be a great fight for him next.
That would be, a good stylistic matchup because Robbie Lawler relies heavily on his hands.
As
So
well,
does
yeah.
Jorge Masvidal. Uh, but I don't see that happening for. I see the fight happening, but I don't see that happening for the number one contender spot because you already have the likes of Damian Maia, Stephen Thompson's waiting next in line. So the other thing is the other
Yeah, but
fascinating
what
thing
I
that's
mean is, see, let's say Damian Maia is the number one contender right now, right?
yes,
And Thompson is going to fight Tyrone.
right,
Whoever wins, Damian Maia fights them,
right.
while Jorge fights Robbie Lawler, and that becomes the number one contender fight then. That's what I mean.
So it depends. I mean, when and if UFC makes those matches, makes those fights, it completely depends on that. But yes, I think he's just 1 fight away from fighting for the title because he needs to fight those top names. Yes, Donald Cerrone is his first, after Jake Ellenberger. Being realistic, might not be. You might not consider him to be the top 5 fighter in the division right now. So I think Donald Cerrone is the first guy. After that, probably one more big name fight, and I think after that he can go for the title. But again, during the fight, there was another interesting instance where during the end of the first round, towards the end of the first round, Masvidal almost stopped Donald Cerrone, and Herb
Yeah,
Dean
of
stepped in.
course. Of course. My personal view is also that Herb Dean stopped it before the bell. Exactly what Jorge said. But personally, I am really glad that it didn't turn into a controversy because of that. I am glad that they let it go on so there's no doubt. Rather than there being a controversy about the stoppage, now there is no controversy about Jorge having won fair and square.
I,
It went on though, of course, like we said, Herb Dean did come in and the bell went off after that. That's what I thought as well. I thought he called it off before the the bell and Jorge had won. But what was really good was Jorge was really calm about it. He didn't go crazy berserk, so he was really cool and calm. He calmed his team down because I think by then he knew he had it in the bag. He knew, okay, you know what, no problems. Let's start this again. He knew Donald Cerrone had been beaten by that time, and it was just a matter of finishing him off when they started again, which is what happened.
Right, and if he had turned into a la Anderson Silva, Michael Bisping, where Anderson Silva almost stopped Bisping, but the referee asked both of them to continue the fight, and in the end, Bisping won the fight. So
yeah,
it was a dicey situation, but I think as you said, Herb Dean stepped in even before the buzzer went off, which was just one split second away. But even during the beginning of the second round, you could see Cerrone being out of it. He was on ginger legs. He could not walk properly. He looked out of it, and Masvidal was able to stop him pretty soon after that. So it could have been a controversial decision if the fight was stopped after the first round. But calmer senses prevailed. This kind of removes all doubt from Masvidal's victory. So as we discussed, one more fight away probably from us talking about Masvidal being the next contender.
Yeah, totally. Now, coming to the top fight, the main event of the evening, Valentina Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena. I don't know why I always thought, I had said this, I put it out there that Valentina was going to win. Juliana, I think, has very talented, a lot of guts, spirit. She gets in there, turns it into a dogfight. But Valentina, from what one has seen, especially with Holly Holm, just had too much for Juliana, and she showed that even if Juliana, of course, came in with a great game plan of always trying to close the distance, get into the clinches, take it to the ground. But Valentina, she's called herself an all-rounded martial artist rather than just a Muay Thai or kickboxer, and she proved that, of course, in this fight, where one thought for some time that Juliana's plan is working, but of course she turned it around in those couple of seconds and got the armbar. But I have to give full credit to Juliana being able to take it to the clinches and being able to take it to the ground and avoid Valentina's stand-up game for that amount of time.
Yeah, so it was basically looked at as your perennial matchup between a clinical striker and someone that is really exceptional on the ground, because one of, if not the biggest strength of Juliana Pena's is her ability to take her opponent to the ground, make use of her transitions, excellent slick transitions. She has amazing, ground game where if she's able to get on top, get the mount, then she's just as able to get opponents back and finish them off. So, and people talked about Shevchenko being that clinical striker, but not having that good of a ground game. The one thing that I kind of understood during Shevchenko's fight with Holly Holm was her ability to be the counter striker, absorb all that pressure, be the counter striker, be effective with what she's throwing, and her excellent ability to maintain her position in clinches, because Holly Holm is not small. And during the fight, Holly tried to push Shevchenko against the cage, but Shevchenko was able to absorb all that pressure, turn Holly against the cage, and then work on her in the clinches. So Shevchenko looked very impressive. The only thing that we wanted to see during this fight is her ability to go to the ground with Juliana Pena, someone that excels on the ground. The fight started as we all expected. Pena tried to close the distance. She did not want to give Shevchenko the range advantage where she can work from the outside or even, use counter-striking like she did with Holly Holm. So it was something that everyone expected, but no one, I think, expected Shevchenko to be the aggressor, to take the fight to the ground, to be the initiator, because she was the one that tripped Pena twice and took her to the ground. So that was something that no one was expecting. And even towards the end of the first round, you could see Pena turning Shevchenko around, getting inside a guard, and then trying to either get the mount or just ground and pound Shevchenko, but she was able to weather the storm. So just that first round kind of told us that Shevchenko was not a pushover on the ground. Like most people thought, Pena would be able to dominate Shevchenko once the fight goes to the ground. That first round itself kind of proved that that was not going to happen. But the exclamation point during the entire fight was the second round, where Pena finally managed to take Shevchenko to the ground, but Shevchenko then turned it around, managed to get Pena inside a guard, and then just the transition with which she locked in the armbar. That was beautiful. That was
It was
slick.
amazing. There has been a lot of talk about MMA as an art. That was art. If you've
Right.
ever seen art in MMA, that was art. The speed with which she made that transition. Juliana just caught off guard for a second and she was gone. Before you knew it, she was just, she had her in the armbar. She tried getting out of it by walking around, but she wasn't able to. And, that was amazing, the speed and beauty with which she did that.
Right, and people underestimate the closing seconds. Just the fact that Shevchenko got her arm went belly up meant she got the leverage, to get her wrist in place. If that not had happened, Pena, would have been able to get herself free from the submission. So just the fact that Shevchenko was able to think that, went belly up, got complete control of her wrist, then turned her around, that was a thing of beauty. So as I said, the second round was the exclamation point. Many people feel, or felt that Shevchenko was someone who would be very good on the ground technically, very good on the feet technically, but might not be able to be that effective on the ground. And Shevchenko kind of put an exclamation point to all of that.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, so now we know who the number one contender is and who's going to fight Amanda Nunes going forward.
And I thought that was brilliant on the UFC's part. They're always so good with their promotion and their marketing of having Amanda there and having her enter the cage like that. And of course it's going to be when this fight happens, which it should, otherwise they wouldn't bring her into the cage like that. It's going to be a rematch. They fought previously. It could have gone either way. I thought they both were brilliant in that fight. It's really a fight one would look forward to because, like I said, it was a very even kind of fight when they fought last time. And Valentina says now she knows what she did wrong and where to improve, from that fight. Not that she did a lot wrong because she was really good in that fight. It was a real battle. And I think this is going to be one of the fights to look forward to in this year, is Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko.
Yes, and both the fighters have evolved since the last fight.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes, obviously, just sheer aggression. Many people think that Amanda, if you weather the storm in the first round, then she eventually gasses out into the deep end, into the second round. So she kind of proved all of that wrong. Just the manner in which she decimated former champion Ronda Rousey and even Misha Tate. That would be an amazing fight. And, Shevchenko, again, it has evolved since the last fight with Amanda Nunes, has shown great improvement in her counter striking. And as we saw in this fight, her ability to take her opponent to the ground and just throw submissions from her back. So it's going to be a very interesting fight. That is something that, we need to because even in the last fight, Shevchenko, when she talked to us, told us that she did certain things wrong that she should have, she shouldn't have done. So this time around, she'll be better prepared. One feels that this is going to be a completely different story.
Better prepared and more patient, I think.
More patient, yes. As we've seen in...
Like she was with Holly Holm.
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's a fight we really look forward to, and we're going to still try to bring her on the show. We did announce that she's coming last week, but she was busy in training, of course, and she wasn't able to make it to the show. We're still going to try. So let's see if before the weekend we can get her onto the show. That'll be great. And, a very big thing for the Indian fans. Having said that, it's 10 to 4 a.m. Here while we're recording this. We just finished the Chris Weidman interview. We started, I think, at 2:15 or 2:30 a.m. We work very hard for you guys. I don't know if you guys know this or appreciate it, but you better fucking appreciate it because it's 4 o'clock and we're shooting this show for you guys and of course for us as well because we love this shit. But it's 4 a.m. You might have seen me yawn once or twice and flicker my eyes. That's because, I was shooting in Karjat, flew down, and I'm going to be sleeping for 2 hours and driving back to Karjat for a shoot. And we love this stuff. We love MMA. We love mixed martial arts. We love watching the fights, talking about it, training now and then, of course, as well. Amazing. And I thought these 3 fights were so amazing, and I just loved watching them. And it's great that there's apps out there. I'm going to give a little free publicity to Sony and their app, Sony Live. I was on my way to a shoot. I had seen the first 2 fights, and of course, I was getting late. And I didn't want to leave. I'd seen Francis, some of the prelims, of course, on Fight Pass. And I was, of course, traveling. But it's so cool that now you can, on your app, watch, the main card as well. It's great that while you're working, or on your way to work, you didn't have to miss the fights as such. So, I was really happy about that. And that's all the free publicity you're getting for now. So, but great, so really great fight card. And we will be back with you really soon. We'll have the Chris Weidman interview out soon. And hopefully we shall get another couple of fighters. We won't keep saying the names. We'll wait till they're on the show and then announce them. We've got a couple of really big names we're trying to get for you, all the Indian, it's really funny, but a couple of people have had this problem with being called fans, so they're like, anyway, not a lot of you, just some of you, but we are all still fans. If you don't like it, tough luck. We're not going to change the term to supporters or something else just because, a couple of people don't like it. We are all fans of the game and very proud ones. So we will be bringing you lots of cool interviews very soon. And our website, www.mmaindia.com, is launching by today or tomorrow. It's more or less ready, and you will be getting a lot of cool articles and shows. We're starting another new video section called Spotlight, which is specially for Indian fighters, to bring literally the spotlight onto Indian fighters, both experienced and upcoming. And that's a special section just for them. And the very first video is going to feature Manjeet Kolikar, who has, of course, fought in Invicta, the first Indian fighter to do so. And, he's going to be fighting, shall we call it, the Indian domestic circuit now. Wasn't she supposed to fight this weekend? Wasn't she supposed to fight?
She's fighting this weekend, yes.
No, wasn't she supposed to fight in the weekend that went by?
She did.
She did?
Yeah.
She fought? Oh, I missed that fight.
Yeah, she won. She won pretty easily.
Oh, okay, great. Who did she fight?
So it was Hina, I think. It was just a debut fight. So it was the first pro fight.
We're going to talk more. Of course, the domestic circuit we're talking about is the Super Fight League, which is great. People are pumping in money, and we wish them all the best. But we will talk about the Super Fight League in more detail. Hopefully, we'll be getting an interview with Bill Dosanjh very soon. Akhilesh is in Delhi, for that interview, and he'll be interviewing Bill Dosanjh on a lot of various topics, putting together an Indian promotion, bringing back SFL. The challenges, the success, a lot of things he'll be covering in his interview with Bill Dosanjh. So we'll be looking forward to that as well. Having said that, it is now 5 to 4 a.m. We know Akhilesh never feels sleepy, but I do. So I'm going to say goodnight, and thank you to all of you for tuning in again. Thank you, Akhilesh, and good luck with all your interviews in Delhi. We shall be screening them soon. Take care and good night.